Man, dog, you really killed her because she ain't text you back? You get no bitches, boy.
Frankly, I have to determine that you're a danger to the public. So no bond is appropriate.
Was on her way to work yesterday when Melbourne police say she was confronted by her ex, 23-year-old Carlos Jones. According to court records, Jones woke up in an angry state because Shadela had not been answering his phone calls or texts.
This is the
Hinder out
story
of
of
it.
Shadela Johnson, aged 23, who was shot 15 times
She was
by her
pretty too. You
ex-boyfriend
a
Carlos
weirdo,
Jones for
boy.
not returning the calls and text he sent to her days
Look
prior.
at you. Why
This
would you
all
text
happened
me
few
back?
days before Christmas,
Blame
all
by him.
because he woke up upset and waited for hours and hours but did not get a return call or text back from her ex-girlfriend. Hello and welcome to Twisted Crimes. Subscribe and hit the like button
From
for
your
more
ex.
stories.
Like, come
Developing
on,
at 4,
now.
a young woman is dead and her ex-boyfriend is accused of killing her. The situation unfolded early this morning in Brevard County.
Based on this case, we will be traveling to Melbourne, Florida. Melbourne, Florida is located along Florida's eastern space coast. Melbourne is about 70 miles southeast of Orlando. Melbourne is a bustling city with a small town feel in Brevard County known for its historic charm, artsy culture, and great surf. Shadela Johnson, aged 23, was a young, aspiring and hardworking lady. She was described as a gentle, loving and easygoing young lady. She attended the Palm Bay Magnet High School and worked at Walmart. She was planning on quitting her job to further her education in college at the time of this incident. Shadela Johnson at a point
Fucked up her
decided to
whole
have a
future,
boyfriend
boy,
and
for
he met
what?
someone named Carlos Lamont Jones, who was 23 years old. They had met some 5 months ago and kicked it off. They both liked each other and decided to move in with each other. Carlos seemed like a gentleman on the outside, but after a couple of months, Shadela realized Carlos is not the person he claimed to be.
You gotta know somebody before you move in with them, boy. Trying to tell you.
So after 5 months of dating Carlos, she decided to throw in the towel. She notified Carlos
I ain't gonna lie, I lived with one person before. She was cool though. It wasn't, you know.
that she would like to end the relationship and wished him good luck in his future endeavors. But as it is for some men who can't handle a breakup, Carlos did not take it well. He would continue to call Shadela every minute of the day and also send her messages, which she tried to reply some messages out of being polite. But 2 weeks after the breakup, Shadela decided to cut it off totally. She would not reply any of the text messages or return any call from Carlos, which triggered Carlos to do the unthinkable. He went ahead sometimes in the middle of December to purchase a gun. Right before Christmas, on December
Damn.
20th,
He bought a
Carlos
gun
woke up in a
just
not
for
so
her.
happy mood
That's
after all the
crazy
text and
work.
calls he had been sending out to Shadela had not been returned. He drove to her house in Melbourne,
He ain't
where she
have
was
no
living with her
five before
father,
that.
just after
So
7:30
he ain't
a.m.
get that
because he
text
knew
back.
that she had to be
He
at
went
work at 8
straight to the
a.m.
gun
He
shop.
pulled into the driveway and confronted his ex-girlfriend, Shadela Johnson, as she was walking out the front door. He exchanged a few words with her before she turned away and started walking back toward the house. Carlos got so angry for being rejected again, he then pulled out a handgun and shot her in the back 15 times. Shadela's father was sitting in the living room when he heard the gunshots. He looked out the window and saw
15,
Carlos standing in the driveway. He
15.
later went outside and found his
Are
daughter
you
lying
hearing this?
in a pool of her own blood. After the shooting, Carlos
This
fled
a
the
sick
scene. He
individual.
dumped the clothing he was wearing and a
Sick.
box of ammunition in a dumpster at his apartment complex, threw a pistol magazine out the window of his car as he drove down an interstate and discarded a semi-automatic pistol in a storm drain in Rockledge, about 20 miles north of Melbourne.
Developing at 4, a young woman is dead and her ex-boyfriend is accused of killing her. The situation unfolded early this morning in Brevard County.
West 2 Scott Heidler is live from the scene in Melbourne with brand new details tonight. So Scott, what did you learn?
Well, Melbourne police just have identified the 23-year-old victim and the suspect. Her boyfriend turned himself in to authorities just a little bit ago. The victim, Shadela Johnson, was found shot several times this morning after police were called in just before 8 a.m. to this house on Colbert Circle. Fire rescue immediately performed life-saving measures on arrival, but Johnson did not survive. Melbourne police confirming that her ex-boyfriend, Carlos Jones, who was initially a person of interest, turned himself in at 10:30 this morning to the Palm Bay Police Department. He was arrested by Melbourne police, charged with premeditated first-degree murder. Jones is also 23 years old. We
Start
spoke with a
turning
woman who
yourself
said
in,
she's
go get you some
Johnson's aunt,
points.
saying that she was well supported
No, sir.
here in the community.
Yeah, she was loved dearly. Beautiful soul, beautiful young lady, and this has been very tragic.
You can see here the large police presence there on the scene that was formed in response to that shooting this morning. This is on Colbert Circle here near University Boulevard and US 1. Channel 9 Jeff Deal is live there this afternoon. And Jeff, you spoke with people who live in the area.
Yes, and some family members were here in the neighborhood as well, and they said that the suspect was upset that his girlfriend broke up with him, and he showed up out here early this morning right around that gray house over there. This crime scene has been taken down. It shut down about 20 minutes ago, but he showed up out here and opened fire, and according to neighbors, the victim was shot several times in the back.
In the back too,
It was
boy.
early
You a
this morning in
coward.
a small neighborhood in Melbourne. Police
Lame ass
responded to
dude.
a call of a shooting on Colbert Circle.
This neighborhood is wonderful. I've been here 3 years. We have never had anything to happen in this neighborhood.
David Birdsong told us he moved to Melbourne from Atlanta to get away from the violence there.
Dude,
He was
went
surprised
to a
to see
therapist,
this
got your
scene
mental health
and
right.
upset to learn a
Work on
23-year-old
yourself.
woman,
Got you
Shadayla
some
Johnson,
fucking
had
bread,
been shot to
and
death
maybe
at
you
her
be
home.
straight.
How does it make you feel
Nah,
knowing
you
a young
gonna
lady
crash
lost her
out.
life here today?
Oh God, that hurt. That hurt so bad.
A few hours later, Jones turned himself into police after receiving a call from his mother, pleading with him to surrender.
Melbourne police say her ex-boyfriend, Carlos Jones, shot her, then turned himself in at the Palm Bay Police Department about 3 hours later. Neighbors said Jones was upset about Johnson breaking up with him. He showed up this morning and opened fire, shooting her several times. They told us Johnson was a college student who returned
Several?
home to live with her
Nah,
dad and
try
as a young mother.
15.
David Birdsong had seen Johnson around while he was riding his bike, but he didn't know her well. Still, he and other neighbors are calling it a tragedy. Something like this happening, especially so close to the holidays.
In his interview with police, Jones said if he had the chance to do it again he would kill Shadayla all over again and her father. He also told police
Damn.
the location of his gun and other evidence he threw out. He told detectives
What
that
the
he was
fuck?
angry because Shadayla wasn't picking up his calls or replying text messages. He knew her work schedule and where she lived. So, Carlos confronted
Gotta
Shadayla when
watch
she
who you
left
get
her
that
home.
pussy to,
The
like,
conversation
gotta
grew
watch
heated.
out.
Shadayla turned away from Carlos to go back inside her house. That's why he got mad and pointed his handgun at Shadayla and shot her 15 times in the back as she was walking away. Carlos said he
He
arrived
freaked
with
all
a
the way
fully
out.
loaded magazine, and his pistol, including the magazine, held a total of 18 rounds. Carlos was charged with murder and he had his day in court.
Coverage you can count on.
New at 4:30, a judge has denied bond for a man accused of murdering his ex-girlfriend after she recently broke up with him. What investigators say he revealed about the shooting during his chilling confession. And who
The
else
fuck they got him wearing? Hey, what is he
For
wearing,
the
bro?
first time since he surrendered to police
That's
yesterday, a
crazy as
Melbourne man
fuck.
saw a judge on a charge of first-degree murder today. Good afternoon, I'm Greg Wormuth.
I'm Darlene Jones. Police say the suspect's ex-girlfriend was shot with a semi-automatic pistol that was purchased only a week ago. We first told you about this shooting here on Colbert Circle on Eyewitness News at noon yesterday. Channel 9's Melanie Holt is live at the Brevard County Jail for us this afternoon. And Mel, you learned chilling new details about the shooting, what police say the suspect did next.
Investigators say shortly after this shooting, the suspect began tossing
Did it say how long they were
They
together?
say
I
he
must have missed
confessed
that.
to shooting his
I ain't hear
girlfriend
that.
after he tried but failed to get her back.
23-year-old Shadayla Johnson, who you see here in a social media post, was on her way to work yesterday when Melbourne police say she was confronted by her ex, 23-year-old Carlos Jones. According to court records, Jones woke up in an angry state because Shadayla had not been answering his phone calls or texts. Investigators say Jones decided to drive to Johnson's Colbert Circle home to confront and kill her.
Mr. Jones, I
Went
do
all
find
the way to her
probable cause
crib.
for
You
your
sick
arrest.
motherfucker.
Police say that Jones and Johnson exchanged some words in her driveway before he pointed his handgun and shot Johnson in the back 15 times. Johnson's father, who was inside of the house at the time, heard the shots ring out.
Frankly, I have to determine that you're a danger to the public. So no bond is appropriate.
After the shooting, investigators say that Jones told them he
They said that
discarded
bond
his
shit
clothing
over with,
and
boy.
tossed his weapon down a storm drain. Hours later, police say he received a call from his mother urging him to turn himself in, and he did at the Palm Bay Police Department. An investigator who arrived later said he asked Jones if he was remorseful, and he was told that if he had to do it all over again, he would kill Shadayla and her father.
Man, he said if he could rewind time, he would have did it even worse. That's a monster right there, boy.